All right, everyone. So let's talk about Afghanistan, the migrant crisis that is coming out of Afghanistan. All of these Afghans are leaving Afghanistan because the Taliban is conquering the country from within. They are taking province after province, they are taking city after city, and they are dominating the Afghan military. And the Taliban continues to take weapons that were given to the Afghan military by the United States. And so they become more and more powerful. They are becoming more and more powerful. And what's happening is exactly what was expected. All of these Afghans are fleeing Afghanistan. And many Afghans who assisted the United States in the war against the Taliban are applying for asylum in the U.S. And the Biden administration has already evacuated several hundred Afghans to the United States because they assisted the U.S. military in the fight against the Taliban. But then on top of that, you got thousands upon thousands of Afghans leaving Afghanistan, and they are crossing Iran to get into Turkey. And they are entering Turkey in the hopes of seeking asylum. They want to apply for asylum in the U.S., or they want to get to a more wealthy country like Germany. Because in Turkey, they get exploited, they get abused, and so they don't want to live in Turkey. Many Turks don't like these people. Many Turks don't want Afghan migrants. This is why parties like the CHP, the Turkish Nationalist Party, literally the Republicans, that's what they call themselves. They are the Republicans of Turkey. They have been becoming very, very popular because politically speaking, they have been the biggest voice against migration into Turkey from war-torn countries like Syria or Afghanistan. There have been racist attacks against Syrians. Syrian-owned businesses have been attacked in Turkey by these Turkish nationalists. And even in a country like Iran, which claims to be the protector of Islam, there has been violence against Afghan migrants. So, for example, and I've read a number of horror stories, there was one story I read in which Iranian border guards took a bunch of, dozens of Afghan migrants and threw them into a river, and dozens of their bodies were found dead. I read a story about one Afghan migrant who was burned alive. I read of an incident in which Iranian border guards opened fire on Afghan migrants and killed them. So there has been nationalism and vitriolic prejudice seen in countries like Iran and Turkey. And there's a lot of nationalism in Turkey, and a lot of people in Turkey don't want these people. So the nationalism that we have seen in the U.S. in a situation like what took place with the caravan coming in from Central America, we are seeing it in Turkey. The type of rhetoric that we have heard in the United States against migrants from Central America or Mexico, you can hear it in Turkey. It's pretty much the same thing. Get the F out of our country. We don't want them here. We don't want these people here, et cetera, et cetera. So this is all really demonstrating what we have been talking about for a long time here on shootbot.com, and that is the phenomena of nationalism, the rise of ultranationalism, and the fact that it's becoming more and more intense, not just in Western Europe, not just in the West in general, but in Islamic countries, traditionally Islamic countries like Iran and like Turkey. This is why, for example, a number of years ago in the local election within Istanbul, the CHP, the Republican Turkish Nationalist Party, defeated the Islamist AK party of Erdogan. But even the AK party of Erdogan has been showing resistance to the policy of absorbing Afghans, because the United States has been relying on Turkey to absorb all of these Afghan migrants. Erdogan just recently stated that Turkey will not be America's waiting room, because the United States, as I said earlier, evacuated several hundred Afghans to the United States because these particular Afghans assisted the U.S. military in the fight against the Taliban. But thousands more of these Afghans who fought for the United States, I should say, want to apply for asylum in the U.S. They want to apply for refuge in the United States, and the American government does not want to absorb all of these Afghans, even though they assisted the U.S., which is pretty messed up. You help America, and then America abandons you, and then you're left for dead. You're left in some refugee camp somewhere. It really, really does suck. Afghan migrants, Syrian migrants also in Turkey, they are exploited and they are abused, and the hatred that a lot of people have for them is greatly expressed against them. And so they don't really want to live in Turkey. So they're using Turkey as a route by which to get into more wealthy countries like Germany. Now, in a country like Austria, I mean, for the last number of years, you've already been seeing the rise of nationalism spark as a result, or really as a reaction to mass migration into Europe. You're seeing this in Turkey. We have already been seeing this in Turkey for the last few years now, especially in regards to the wave of Syrian migration into Turkey. This whole idea that Muslim countries are just going to side with each other, Muslims are just going to protect each other. This is a huge misconception. Even back in World War I, there was a situation in which thousands of Muslims who were fighting for the British deserted their ranks and went to the Ottoman side. And what did the Ottoman Empire do with these Muslim deserters? The Ottoman Empire took these Muslims and forced them to build roads, basically made them slaves. So this sort of abusive sentiment within Turkey is still alive. Turkey is one of the most racist countries in the world, and you're seeing this already. You're seeing this racism manifest already. And so this phenomena of nationalism, this trend of nationalism, is really manifesting itself more and more intensely, and we're seeing this intensification just rising every single year. Now, what is Turkey to do? Turkey, and Erdogan knows that many of his people do not want these migrants. So, and remember, when the United States said we're going to leave Afghanistan, Turkey was really seen as the country to fill in that vacuum that would be left by the United States. That power vacuum is clearly visible with the rise of the Taliban, and the United States is now going to rely on Turkey to be the stabilizing force in Afghanistan. Of course, Turkey cannot do this on its own, which is why Turkey has expressed its desire to join forces with Hungary and Pakistan, so that the militaries of Pakistan and Hungary can also be present in Afghanistan to assist the Turkish military. So remember, Pakistan, a major Islamic country, it's probably the biggest Muslim ally of Saudi Arabia. Turkey is in a rivalry against Saudi Arabia. By pulling Pakistan closer to Turkey's sphere of influence, I think Turkey is doing this in the hopes of further isolating Saudi Arabia. In regards to an alliance with Hungary within Afghanistan, the way I see this is it's almost like a repeat of what happened in World War I, in which the Ottoman Empire and the Austro-Hungarian Empire had an alliance. Hungary and Turkey have historically been allies in war, and so it's not that surprising that Turkey would want to do this. And also the fact that Viktor Orban, who's supposed to be this nationalist, who's against migration and all that, Viktor Orban considers himself to be sort of an Asiatic, Hunnic Turk, and he is a pan-Turanian, which means he believes in this idea of uniting the Turkic countries together. And Erdogan is also a pan-Turanian, which is why Turkey leads the Pan-Turkic Union, the secretary of which is the nation of Hungary, which I find to be very fascinating. But with so many migrants, with this huge wave of migration coming in from Afghanistan to Turkey, Turkey now has even more of a reason to swell up its military presence within Afghanistan, because so many people in Turkey don't want these Afghans. The reason why these Afghans are leaving their country in the first place is because of the Taliban. So in order to stop the migration, Turkey would need to bring some sort of stability to Afghanistan in order to remove the incentive to leave Afghanistan in the first place. So Turkey now has the excuse to say, well, we need more troops in Afghanistan. Because the initial plan for Turkey and Afghanistan is that Turkey will simply have its military presence in the Kabul airport, because in case foreign ambassadors, American officials, foreign officials need to leave Afghanistan, that airport is their only way out. And that airport needs to be secure at all times. If the Taliban takes the airport, you ain't going to be leaving Afghanistan unless you can get into a car and drive all the way to Iran. And Turkey now has the excuse to say, well, it's more than just an airport. We need to have more of a military presence beyond just the Kabul airport. And so we're seeing two different things taking place, and they both are really interconnected. One is the rise of nationalism, which we've been seeing in Europe, but we've also been seeing this now in countries like Turkey and Iran. And then at the same time, the rise of militarism. And this rise in Turkish militarism has been manifesting itself in different countries, and I've already said this a million times, but I'll keep saying it. We've been seeing this in Libya, Iraq, Syria, just recently in the South Caucasus, in Artsakh, within Azerbaijan. And now we're going to be seeing it in Afghanistan. And this migrant wave gives Turkey the pretext by which to justify further military intervention in Afghanistan. A lot of these Afghans also want to go to countries like Austria and Germany. And if that ever takes place, expect nationalism to rise even more in those countries. And with the rise of nationalism, you have the rise in militarism. Because if people are ultra-nationalistic, that means that they don't want to rely on other countries for their national security, which means that they are going to boost up their own military forces. And when you have nationalism, militarism, excessive pride in one's nation, and on top of that, the revival of old rivalries, you have war. Anyway, you guys just heard some theology. God bless.